few things, I need to tell you few concepts in Java. Okay, because before I tell you how to identify the elements in with XPaths, with CSS selectors, right? I'll tell you about constructors in Java. Although we will not be using constructors right now, but constructors are really important. Okay, so in day 4, I will create, or in the source folder, I'll create a new package known as day 5. And let's talk about constructors. Fine. In Java, constructors are used to initialize the object. What do you mean by that? For example, I have a class known as hotel, right? So what are the properties of a hotel? The name of the hotel. Okay. Then place where it is, what is the capacity of the hotel, right? So these all are the properties of a hotel. Now I create a new class. I'll just call it test.java, right? And I create the object of the hotel class. Now the thing is, if I have to initialize this object, I will have to write hotel dot, I'll have to initialize the name. Suppose hotel A, hotel dot place, some place like US, something like this. Okay, I will have to initialize all the parameters of the hotel like this. Now there are few problems over here. The first problem is, suppose if I'm creating multiple objects of the hotel class. For every object, I will have to write multiple lines to initialize this hotel object. Okay. Secondly, out here, there are just 3 properties in the hotel class. What if there are many properties? Okay, at times you can have the class hotel with lots of properties: name, place, capacity, pricing, meal plans, and different things. Okay, so over here, you will have to, if it has 20 properties, you will have to write 20 lines, and that even for every object you are creating. Okay, so that's something which will obviously make you feel that fine, what am I doing? I'm just writing 20 lines to initialize one object. Okay, that is why we have constructors. Constructors, they have very limited role, that is, they can initialize the object as well as create the object. Okay, they can initialize all these properties while creation of the object. What do I mean by this? Initialize all the properties while the object creation. Okay, look, by saying this, suppose if I'm writing new hotel, this line, this highlighted portion is actually creating the object of the hotel class. Okay, This will create the object of the hotel class, and this will take the constructor, the control in a constructor. This is a constructor of the hotel class. It looks like a function, but it is not function. There is no return type. I am not writing void or boolean over here. And the name of the constructor is same as the name of the class. Okay. In Java, the name of the constructor is same as the name of the class. Okay. So out here, inside the constructor, suppose I write hello, or inside default constructor. Now, if I run my test.java, you see it prints inside default constructor 2 times. Whenever you create an object of a class, the constructor is automatically called when you create the object of the class. I'm creating the object of the hotel class 2 times over here, so automatically the constructor will be called 2 times. If I create the object of the class multiple times, I create it 3 or 4 times, only the object I'm creating over here. So whenever I create the object, the constructor would automatically be called. Okay, so constructor is something which is called on the object creation time. So you can have a constructor known as, you can make one more constructor, and this constructor, don't make a replica like this, it's not allowed. Okay, this constructor will take in 3 parameters: name, place, and capacity. Okay, I will make one more constructor with 3 parameters: name, place, and the capacity. So when I am creating the object of the hotel class, so over here I can, instead of calling the default constructor, this is the default constructor. Default constructor means the constructor with no arguments. Okay, instead of calling the default constructor, I can pass the parameters over here. That is, the name is say hotel C, comma, place is say India, comma, capacity 200. So this way you can pass the hotel parameters inside this constructor. Look, in Java, if I hit the control button of my keyboard, okay, keyboard control button, I keep on click, keep it in pressed mode. And if I move my mouse over this, it will look like a link. Moment I release this, the link will go away. So if you keep on pressing the control button, this will look like a link. And if I click on this, it will take me to the constructor. That means this thing is pointing towards this particular constructor.
Ashish, just a second. So, why it is not erroring? Is it because of the number of arguments with the same hotel name in the constructor
Yes,
name?
yes.
Okay.
Name can be same, but if you pass different arguments, it will not give you an error.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So if you inside it, I can write name equals to n, place equals to p, and capacity equals to c. So this name, place, and capacity are actually these name, places, and capacity. This NPC over here are the parameters. So this way I can create the object of the hotel and initialize it at the same time instead of initializing it in different lines over here. So if I can write system.out.println hotel.name, hotel.place and hotel.capacity. So if you run this will give you the right output. Okay, so this is the advantage of constructor.
Ashish, I have one question. What is the difference between constructor and interface? I mean, just confused.
Interface, as I had told you, is very different. Uh, Interface is something which only has method declarations. Okay, you will just define that fine. This is my machine interface and machine has got these features. There is no constructor, nothing. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
constructor is inside a class.
Mm-hmm.
When you create the object of the class, constructor is used to initialize that object in a quick way.
Okay.
Okay, over here, I can decide not to use a constructor, but when I create the object of the class, I will have to unnecessarily write multiple lines to initialize the object of the hotel class. Okay, so instead of that, we make a constructor and we can simply initialize the object in a very fast way. Right. So now out here, if you go to this constructor, this has three parameters n, p, and c. Now suppose I give the names of these parameters same as the global names. These are my global parameters. That means the parameters or in your the variables which are outside the hotel class or the hotel constructor or any function. What if I give the same names over here? Name, just a minute. What if I give the name and this thing I name it as place and capacity? So basically over here, the local variables, I am declaring the name same as the global variables. Okay, right. So over here, if I write name equals to name, place equals to place, and capacity equals to capacity. Now, this is giving you a warning sign as well. Basically, what I intend to do is that by saying name equals to name over here, I mean that this name should be equal to this name. Okay, so if I run this now, I get null, null, and zero. So this actually doesn't work. It what it tries to do is that what it actually does, it equates this name to this name only. This particular name never reaches here. Okay, so in order to work with this, we use the this keyword because at times you have the variable, the constructor names same as the names declared globally. So you write over here this dot keyword. Okay, this dot name basically means this dot name means global name and name over here will refer to local name. Okay, this keyword, don't get confused with this. It is very easy. This basically means the current object, the name of the current object. The name of the current object is the global name. The place of the current object, it is the place variable. The capacity, it is capacity. So in Java, this keyword is used to generally refer to the variables of the current object. Okay, right. So if I run this now, it will work fine. So at times, when we write code, the names of the local variables, they become equal to the names of the global variables. So in order to distinguish them, so to refer the global ones, you can use this dot name. Okay. Now creating the object of the hotel class and initializing it is a easy thing. So I just need to change the country names over here. Okay. And just the parameters over here and the hotel object will be initialized. So this is what constructors are used for. And constructors are also used in Selenium. If you look at the documentation, selenium.dev, go to the download section, and over here, if you look at the API docs in Java, so out here, web driver interface, these are the implementing classes: Chrome driver, Firefox driver, Safari driver. So if you go to one of these classes, like I go to Chrome driver class, it will tell you uh, that these are the different constructors of Chrome driver. Okay, one is a simple one, other one takes in the object of capabilities. Okay, then you have got Chrome options class, right? So Chrome options class, it takes the object of Chrome options class. Okay, so there are different things we will actually uh, come to know about these. Okay, this constructor is important. This constructor takes in the argument of Chrome options class. Look, at times, when you work with browsers, okay, or when you work in your project, okay, at times they might say that fine, open the browser on a proxy server. The company is having a proxy server, so all the requests should go through that proxy server. Okay, by default, when you open the browser, if I go to my dynamic browsers and if I open my Chrome browser, you will see that some logs they come up in the console. These red color logs, right? They're coming in the console. Moreover, the Chrome browser which I have opened is not maximized. You would want that when your browser opens, it should start in a maximized manner. Okay, so at times you want to work with proxy server. You don't want these logs coming up at the bottom in the console. At times you would want to start the browser in a maximized way. Okay, sometimes you get SSL security errors. Don't know whether you know about it or not. Sometimes you get this thing, right? This site is not secure or something. Okay, I hope you know about it. If you don't know about it, then please let me know. Okay, so at times,
Ashish, I don't know SSL.
yeah, there are some security certificates and all.
Okay.
Okay, on websites, if you Sometimes, hold on, security certificate error. Just a minute. They had a link over here. Sometimes you get the error and the website doesn't open. It gives you directly an error that the security certificate, this kind of error comes in IE, that there's a problem with website security certificate. Okay. Or in Chrome or in, any other browser. It, so, Selenium cannot manage that. Okay, Selenium cannot manage these security certification errors. So you actually end up using, like in Chrome you get this. This site could not provide a secure connection. So you need to just bypass this, because the website owners or the company, it hasn't introduced certificate, a secure certificate into this website, so that the data can be transferred securely. So you need to bypass this error at times. Okay. Or at times what happens is that you get notifications and you need to turn them off during your automation testing of scripts. You must have seen that this site wants to send you notification. Okay, so to do all these things, we have got options classes. Okay, options classes basically represents the sets of criterias or sets of settings.
Ashish, I have a question.
Yeah.
I have few questions regarding constructor. Like you said, the use of this is to parameterize the global variable with the local variable having same name. So this
No,
is the only use,
constructor uses to initialize the object.
not this. I am asking this property.
Yeah, this keyword is basically, it refers to the global variable.
So only this is the purpose of this, like parameterize when you need to differentiate the local and global variable. At that time, you need to use this.
Yes, basically in layman's term, I can say that this basically represents the current object, the name of the current object, the place of the current object, the capacity of the current object. Okay, the global variables it will refer to.
And when you are creating the constructor object and passing the parameter, the sequence and number is equally important. Like suppose out of the three parameters, if you just pass two, then will it throw error?
Yes,
You need to
if
pass all the parameters.
yes, if I don't want to pass over the third parameter over here, then I'll get an error.
And sequence is also important.
Yes, sequence is also important. Okay. So if I'm writing name here, so I'll have to send name first, then place, and then capacity.
Okay.
Okay. Now out here, I was telling that at times you have got all these things. And not just in Chrome browser, maybe in some other browser. So every browser has an options class. Like we have Chrome options class with which you can manage options specific to Chrome driver. Okay, I will tell you about this. Right. In depth with time. I'm just telling you right now that these option classes do exist. Like we have Firefox options. Okay, with this you can manage all these things in Firefox. Okay, and when you use these option classes, you actually use the constructor to initialize Chrome driver. You don't use the default constructor of the Chrome driver class. You first create the object of Chrome options and then pass it into the constructor of Chrome driver class. We will see that. We will see that with time. Okay, now I would request you one thing for those of you who have registered in the training, go and solve exercises for initial around 4 modules till the constructor modules. You will come to know when you log in into your account, you will see that over here, after operators for every module, I've added few exercises after you click on the play button. Okay, so over here, operators, Java, object oriented programming, all these modules, till till this module, just try to, solve the exercises. When you click on play, you will get the option of exercises over here. Okay, so that will give you a very good insight. It's basically not exercise, basically a quiz, right? That will give you more insight into how this thing works. Right. Now, moving ahead, this was about constructors. And we will be using constructors at different points in the coming days. Right. Now, last time I had made this dynamic browsers. And I had created object of Chrome driver, Firefox driver, and it was opening the browser dynamically. Now, over here, when you create the object of a particular class, right, you are using the default constructor in Chrome, Firefox, and Edge. With time, I will add the options over here, Chrome options. That is, these are the set of settings with which Chrome has to be launched. And of course, I'll use the constructor of the Chrome class. Fine. Now moving ahead, there is one more important thing which you need to understand. It's a very small concept. Okay, I'm not just directly jumping over to XPaths and all. I will tell you about it. But you have to understand how objects they actually work in Java. There is a concept of pass by reference and pass by value. And pass by value. Okay, let me just clarify it in simple words. This was my class test hotel where I was creating the object of the hotel class. So in a class, I can create an object and variables. I can write int I equals to 100. Okay, objects they are passed by reference. Okay, and variables they are passed by value. Now, what do you mean by this? Passed by reference, passed by value. Suppose in hotel class, I have a function known as public void add capacity by you send the new capacity. Oh, sorry, I'm writing new over. That means if the default capacity in my hotel is 100 rooms, I want to add another 20. Suppose I define over here that this is my H4 hotel, okay, with the capacity as 100. Okay, now suppose I have to increase the capacity by another 20. So I will call over here H4 dot add capacity by 20. Okay, so I am calling this function on my H4 object and saying that add the capacity of the rooms by 20. Fine. So what will happen? If this is the global variable capacity, I will write capacity equals to new capacity plus 20. Sorry, capacity equals to new capacity plus the original capacity. So whatever variable you will pass over here in this integer, this will be added inside the capacity of the hotel. Okay.
For this, no need of this, right? In the constructor.
I can use it if
Okay.
you want, but I don't have any duplicacy issues over here.
Mm.
Okay. If this variable was same as the local and the global variables would had been same,
So
I
only
would
duplicate chances are there. That time only this is the useful.
mostly over
Otherwise,
there,
no need.
not
Okay.
just only over there, mostly over there.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I increment the capacity of my hotel, the global variable, by 20. Okay. And if I come back and print h4 dot capacity. Okay. And if I run this, it will print 120. So what is basically happening over here? In form of a diagram, if I explain you. Okay, this thing is not working. Okay, let me simply open a paint. This is my object and there is a reference. It's this, understand the concept, the reference. The reference is h4 is pointing and there is a capacity variable and there is a function known as add capacity inside it. Add capacity by. So when you call this add capacity by and pass it a parameter, it increments the capacity of this hotel by this particular parameter. So when you write h4 dot capacity again on this line, it simply increments the capacity of that particular hotel. Right. Now, sometimes you can pass the hotel object itself inside the particular function. For example, I write another function over here, add capacity. Instead of sending the integer capacity, I can write hotel h, comma int rooms. Just taking a basic example. Okay, so this is the hotel reference, object reference, which I'm passing, and the number of rooms which have to be incremented. So over here I can write hotel h dot capacity equals to hotel dot capacity plus the number of rooms. This function and this function will do the exactly same work, but I am passing over the reference of the hotel object in this. Sometimes you have to send objects inside the functions. You have to send the entire object instead of just sending one parameter of the object. Okay, sometimes you have a situation where you have to send the entire object. Suppose I have a function like, for example, a public void print hotel details. So I want to print the name, capacity, everything for the particular hotel. So I will send the entire hotel object inside this to just print it. Okay, just taking a hypothetical example with you. Okay, that is, I just want to make you understand that functions, they can just take integers as well, primitive types, plus they can take the reference of the hotel as well. So over here, when you have to call the function h4 dot add capacity by, you can pass the h4 reference and the number of rooms. Now this is a very foolish line. Nobody writes a code like this. That is, you uh, call the function on the object and you are passing the same object. Nobody writes like that. Okay, I will elaborate this in a more detailed manner with time. But when you pass h4 over there into h, what will happen in the memory is that a new reference h will start pointing the same hotel h. And with h also you can manage the object. Okay, one object reference can have multiple, one object can have multiple references. When you pass it over here, when you write h over here, h4 over here, that basically means that send h4 into h. Okay, a new object is not created, that a new object will be created and h will be pointing towards it. This is not done. Okay, h points towards the same object. If I print h4 dot capacity and if I run this program, so it will print 140. Now it will add again. Earlier it had added 20 over here and now it will again add 20. So these two lines, they do the same thing. They increment the capacity of the hotel. But understand one thing, objects are passed by reference. Okay, objects are passed by reference. This means that when you send h4 in this function, in the memory, h4 and h points towards the same object. When you are doing this line, when I write add capacity 20 and I send the capacity variable over here. Okay, right. Then a new variable is formed in the memory. The name of that variable is capacity. The value of that variable is 20. So you increment the capacity of this object by this capacity variable 20. Okay, that is why I'm writing this dot capacity means the capacity of the
Ashish,
hotel.
I had a small doubt here. See,
Yeah,
when we are doing reference by value, that time which capacity will increase? I mean, we have a four hotel names there, ABC, something like that. So that time, the latest one only it will take, or the first one will take
the
and increase
H4,
the capacity.
H4.
But we are not. Passing
We are
that.
using H4, right?
Mhm.
H4 is the object, right? We are dealing
Okay,
with
okay,
whatever is the name of H4, whatever is the
okay.
details of H4,
We
changes will
created
happen
the
in this.
object and in that only we are
Yeah,
increasing.
yeah.
But here we are passing any of the object H4, not H4, any other object also we can pass here, right? Reference by reference passing.
Yeah, if I write
H3 also it will go to H3 and it
yes,
will increase, right?
suppose I have H2. H2
Yeah,
has a capacity of 200.
yes.
Now, if I write H4 dot add capacity and I write H2, so it
Huh.
will not add capacity of H4, it will add the capacity
Uh,
of
H2.
H2.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, so if I print the capacity of H2 and H4 over here, and I print the capacity of H2 and H4 over here. So before incrementing, it is printing 200 and 220. Okay, sorry, 120. The capacity of H4, it remains as 120 only. Okay, but over here, the capacity of H2 gets incremented because I am actually passing the H2 object over here in add capacity. Okay, right. So whatever is the H2 object, that capacity will be added by 200. Okay, so objects are passed by a reference always. Although you might not feel the usage that much, even though you will be using it. Okay, at times you'll be passing the objects and all, but you will not be actually feeling that fine, I'm passing by reference or something. But when some error happens or something, you have to debug and then you realize, oh, this was an object, it was being passed by a reference. Okay. Uh, Now we will see more into it as we proceed with the course. Okay, let me talk about place where we had left. Okay, these constructors pass by reference, pass by value. With time, it will get more and more clear. This was just an introduction. Okay, now if I talk about XPaths and CSS selectors, that day we had talked that we can go on any website and find the element by name in Selenium or by ID or by a class name, and I had told you class name was very tricky, and we also saw link text. Now at times you don't find identification criteria for an object on the web page. Okay, for example, on this particular web page,
Ashish, do we have full form of CSS and Xpath? Uh, or it's just a synonym?
XPath full form I'm not sure. CSS is basically cascading style sheets. Okay,
It's an HTML term, right?
yes, both are like this more of HTML term. Okay,
Okay.
so this page over here, not every element on this page would have an ID or a name. Okay, for example, if I have to read this text or I have to read this text. So if I inspect this text, then of course this has got h3 tag, but no ID or a name. So class is something which we should refrain from using. Okay, because class can be duplicate. So we use XPaths over here. XPath is like the address of the element on the web page. Okay, like for example, uh, every person has an address, right? That person uniquely identifies it. Similarly, XPath is there. Now, XPath is of two types. Okay, in day 5, I'll create a new file other file known as xpaths.txt. So over here, you have got complete XPaths and partial XPaths. Okay, now what do you mean by complete XPaths? Complete XPaths, they start from the root of the document, right? What do you mean by this? Uh, Say, for example, this is the search box. If I inspect this search box, then this is the input tag. Now, if you look at the complete document structure, okay, the document structure starts from this HTML tag, and somewhere in between, in the end, I have this input tag which represents this text box. Okay, so if you hit Control F of your keyboard, you will see a find by string text box coming up at the bottom, this one. Inside it, if I type HTML, it will highlight my HTML tag on the top. Inside the HTML tag, there are two tags, head and body tag. So if I write slash body, that means from the HTML tag, go to the body tag. Inside the body tag, there are multiple parallel tags. These all tags are parallel to each other. Just a minute. Just a minute. Yeah. So these all tags over here are parallel to each other. I want to go inside the div tag because somewhere inside the div tag, my element of interest, which is the text field, is lying. Okay, so I will write over here slash div. So the control comes under this particular division. Under this division, there is one more division. Okay, so I will write over here slash div again. So control comes to this particular division. Inside this division, there are multiple parallel divisions. These three divisions,
Actually, I cannot see your whatever you are typing. This recording bar is hiding the text.
no, recording bar is on the right side. I am
No, no.
typing it over here.
I mean our call details hiding that.
Just click on the screen. That will get off.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, yeah,
Is it okay?
yes.
Yeah. So over here, I am navigating. Okay, this was just a minute. I'll again explain you. This was the HTML tag. Under it, there was a body tag. Under it, there was a div tag. And under it, there was another div tag. So I am actually traversing these tags like this, and I've reached this particular division tag. Under this division, I want to go inside the first division because my input field is lying inside my first division. I don't want to go inside the second division. But the thing is, all these divisions are parallel to each other. They all are lying under this particular division. So if I have to go inside the first division, I will have to write slash div bracket 1. That means go inside the first division. If I would want to go inside the second one, I would have obviously written 2 over here.
So it doesn't start with a 0, right?
It doesn't start with 0.
Okay.
Okay, then inside this division, I have again got two parallel divisions. I want to go inside the first one. So I'll write div 1. Inside the first division, I have got 3 parallel divisions and I want to go inside the second one because ultimately I have to reach this input tag. Okay, right. So I want to go inside this second division. So I will write slash div 2. This is the one. And under this division, I again want to go. There are multiple parallel divisions. I want to go in the second one again. Okay. So I will write slash div 2 again. I hope you are understanding because under this particular division, there were parallel division tags. I wanted to go inside the second one. Now inside this division, there is a form tag, nothing else. So I will write slash form. And then you have inside this form a division tag and a UL tag. So I want to go inside this division. Inside this division, there is another division tag and then the input tag. Okay, so it's simple slash div slash input. So this way I will reach the input tag. And you see that if you click on the down arrow over here, the element on the web page is getting highlighted. So this means that this XPath is pointing precisely to this particular element. So this is my complete XPath, or it is also known as absolute XPath. It
So
starts.
whenever Ashish, one doubt. If I mean, if you use XPath in our scripts and all, if they'll change in middle the HTML script. What I mean, how it will be?
Yes, I'm coming over to that. So this XPath is highly accurate. It starts from the root of the document and goes to the element. You don't need to calculate this manually every time I did like that. This was just to give you an idea how this is calculated. If you have to calculate it, then investigate the element. This is the code. Right click on the code and you can get copy full XPath option. Okay, you can copy the full XPath from your um, Chrome inspector as well. Only thing is that these guys unnecessarily put one at places where it is actually not required. They started with slash. You don't need to start with slash. Okay, so XPath for any element you can calculate the XPath. For example, this is the login button. You can right click, you can copy the full XPath, and Chrome inspector will give you the full XPath. Now XPath on one browser will remain same on the other browser as well. It is not that on the browsers they will change. If I use this XPath and I write driver.find element by this particular XPath, this will work. But the problem with complete or absolute XPath is that it starts from the root of the document. If something changes tomorrow at this point, immediately after my body tag, something changes. The developer introduces one more division or something. This will go for a toss. Not just this XPath, or all the XPaths of your application will stop working. Okay, so this is the problem with complete XPath. That is, if something changes in the application, there is a very high possibility that your complete or absolute XPaths will also change. Although these XPaths are very, very accurate. I will show you the Java code as well, how to write with XPaths and all. But just understand this. Although these XPaths are very, very accurate. Okay. But the problem is they cannot be relied on for a longer term. Look, whenever you build any application, whether it is automation script or you are building a product or a website, anything, you don't build it for today. that fine, in next 1 hour my code should work. No, you have to build it thinking about tomorrow. And if your all the XPaths and identifiers of your applications are changing, then it will cause a maintenance problem as well with time. So we refrain ourselves from using complete XPaths. We use them. I also use them at times when nothing else is working, and they are highly accurate. Okay. So what we do is that we go for partial XPaths. Okay. Now how is partial XPath calculated? First of all, partial XPath always starts with a double slash. Double slash star. This means all elements on the page. If I copy this and if I go to my Chrome and in this text box, if I paste this will say 1 out of 1599. That means there are basically 1599. You see it's mentioning over here that uh, 2 out of 1599. So there are total 1599 tags on this page. So it will highlight every tag. All the elements, all the tags on this page will be represented by double slash star. But we don't obviously use this. If I write double slash A is the tag name for the link, right? This means all links on the page. Right, if I copy this and paste it, so it will highlight all the links one by one. There are 439 links on this page, so it is highlighting all of them. Okay, now suppose this is the login field, right? Or yeah, so if I want to get the partial XPath for this login field, or let me take up an easier example. I will go to zoho.com. Just a minute, guys. I might take some extra time today. If you look at this email field, it's got the tag name input. If I right click on it, I get the copy option. And instead of copying full XPath, copying full XPath will give me the complete XPath for this element. But instead of doing this, if I just copy the XPath, not the full XPath, this above XPath, this represents the partial XPath basically. Then it comes up like this. That means double slash star out of all the elements on the web page. Give me the element whose ID is email field. Or I can be more precise. The tag name for this element is input. I can use the tag name over here. That is out of all the input tags on the page, double slash input. This will basically mean all the input tags on the page. Out of all the input tags, get me the input tag whose ID is email field. So this is my partial XPath. However, every element has not got an ID. So what will partial XPath do in case of elements with no ID and all? We'll see that. I'll continue with this tomorrow. Okay, but yes, we don't use the complete XPaths. We use the partial XPaths practically. Okay, so today I talked about constructors and I talked about little bit about pass by value and reference, which might be confusing at time. So you can avoid this right now if you are not understanding it. With time you will. And I talked about XPaths as well. And more importantly, we talked about this keyword. This keyword represents the current object, the properties of the current object. Just solve the exercises. They'll give you a good insight. I'll mail you the recordings, right? So, anybody with any questions?
Not related to the class, but there is a request